Mangwanani Mwalelepo Fukenjani Kleklas Vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa. Good morning, the news and current affairs show, bringing you everything you need to know happening on the African continent and beyond. You are joined by Ashwin Betty and Diana Master, ready to engage with the content. How are you, Diana?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. I'm good.
It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday, third of the month.
Third of the month. You know, I mean, good things are coming.
Absolutely.
But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's get into what you can expect in today's broadcast. Niger reopens borders with several neighbours a week after coup. Kagame appoints daughter to key post in his office. And Korea's Incheon airport introduces smart pass facial recognition system. We'll also be chatting to Talon Gore in Harare, Zimbabwe, as she fills us in on all the news making headlines that side. Stick around, we'll be right back with our top stories after this break.
Happy birthday once again to the President of the Republic of Namibia, Dr. Kagame. Heading into our top stories, Niger announced overnight that it was reopening borders with several of its neighbors a week after a coup that has been condemned by foreign powers and raised fears of a wider conflict in West Africa's Sahel region. Defense chiefs from regional bloc ECOWAS will start a two-day meeting in the Nigerian capital Abuja on Wednesday to discuss the situation in Niger, where ECOWAS has threatened to use force if soldiers do not reinstate the elected president. A delegation from the regional bloc was also expected to arrive in Niger's capital Niamey on Wednesday to start talks with the junta led by General Abdourahmane Tiani. The land and air borders with Algeria, Burkina Faso, Mali, Libya and Chad are reopened from the 1st of August 2023, a junta spokesperson said on state television. The junta closed the borders last Wednesday at the same time that it announced that it had removed democratically elected President Mohamed Bazoum from power.
Now, Kagame appoints daughter to key post in office. Rwandan President Paul Kagame has appointed his daughter to a key position in his office. Ange Kagame, 29, has been appointed the Deputy Executive Director in charge of the Strategy and Policy Council, according to a statement of a cabinet meeting chaired by Mr. Kagame on Tuesday. The statement also announced, the statement also announced other appointments, including new ambassadors to Ethiopia, Morocco, Egypt, and Guinea. Ms. Kagame has been working in the president's office as a senior policy analyst since 2019 and holds political science and international affairs degrees from U.S. universities. Two of President Kagame's other children also hold positions in government. His eldest son, Ivan Kagame, was appointed in 2020 to the Rwandan Development Board, which is tasked with fast-tracking economic growth through the private sector. The third-born son, Ian, is an officer of the Rwandan Defense Force and was last year enrolled into the Presidential Guard.
Moving on, Senegal has suspended access to social media app TikTok until further notice, the communications minister said on Wednesday, days after restricting the use of mobile internet and amid opposition protests. Now, the minister informs the public that it has been observed that the TikTok application is the social network favored by people with bad intentions to spread hateful and subversive messages threatening the stability of the country. The minister's statement said the West African country has also restricted access to internet services since Monday, using a similar justification. The restrictions come after opposition leader Ousmane Sonko was charged with plotting an insurrection, criminal conspiracy, and other offenses. Senegal has seen sporadic violent protests throughout the year, as opposition supporters have accused President Macky Sall of leveling charges against Sonko to disqualify him from the next election.
Now in some international news, Korea's Incheon airport introduces Smart Pass facial recognition system. A new biometric identification system using the facial features of travelers now substitutes for passports at Incheon International Airport, Korea's largest international air hub. The enhanced identification process started being used on July 27th, the Incheon International Airport Corp said Friday. The new service, dubbed Smart Pass, enables the quick and efficient identification of passengers at departure and boarding gates at the airport without having to present their passports or boarding passes, according to the IIAC. The service has been implemented across all departure gates and 16 boarding gates at the airport as of Friday. We expect the timely introduction of the Smart Pass service for outbound travels to greatly help ease congestion caused at the airport for the peak summer season. IIAC President Lee Hak-jae said during the launching ceremony Friday, for the time being, the service is available only for passengers flying with Korean Air, Asiana Airlines, Jeju Air, Jin Air, T-Way Air, and Delta Airlines. The airport has plans for full integration of the document-free system by April 2025, extending the service to passengers of all airlines.
And in the last of our top stories, Indonesia has sent emergency services to its easternmost province of Papua, where a drought has killed 6 people, including a baby, and left thousands without water since June, officials said on Tuesday. Disaster officials blamed the El Nino weather phenomenon, generally associated with a rise in global temperatures, for the drought and extreme cold weather that has caused crop failures and left many without access to water in the worst-hit Pukak Regency in central Papua. Adriana Sala, a senior social affairs ministry official, said in a statement storage depots in the towns of Timika and Lapangan Sinik were empty because all aid has been distributed. In total, 17.1 tons of aid has been sent to the impoverished region, he said, including thousands of packets of instant food and hundreds of tents and blankets. That brings us to the end of our top stories on Africa. Good morning. Musiwa Tunya. You might not recognize the name, but that is the original name of what is now known as Victoria Falls, and it means the smoke that thunders. And it has currently been ranked the 3rd best natural wonder of the world. I wonder how they rank. Do they swim in it? We'll find out when we talk to talent after the break.
Now let's cross on over to Harare, Zimbabwe to speak to Talent Gore as she gives us an update on all the latest news outside. Talent, Mamukase.
Tamuka edukana mamukase Africa.
I want to know Shinura. All right, let's get into the very first story. Victoria Falls ranks 3rd best natural wonder of the world. Please tell us about this. I'm actually curious to find out who took the first 2 spots.
So a leading global travel agency has ranked Victoria Falls the 3rd best destination for the 7 wonders of the world. The travel agency, which is from United Kingdom, said that Victoria Falls, which forms a natural border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, scored 8.14 out of 10 points behind the Arches National Park in Utah, United States of America, and Iguazu National Park, which were ranked 1st and 2nd respectively. According to the study of the popularity of destination across online platforms, the majestic falls scored highest on Google search with more than 2.5 million over the last 12 months, which means that Victoria Falls has received 63.9 million TikTok views, 318.5 Instagram posts, 86.57% excellent reviews, and 0.22 terrible reviews, and an overall wonder score of 18.14 out of 10. Well, this was said by the Travel Titan, which is the best travel agency in United Kingdom, apparently.
And I would like to verify the sanity of that 0.22%, which did not like Victoria Falls. But we move over. Aspiring presidential candidate Xavier Kasukuwere is taking his poll fight to SADC. How's this going to work out?
Yes, Xavier Kasukuwere has since appealed to the Southern African Development Community to rescue his presidential bid after he was disqualified by the High and Supreme Court from contesting the August 23 polls as an independent candidate. Kasukuwere wrote to SADC chairperson and Democratic Republic of Congo President Felix Tshisekedi, protesting what he said were unfair practices to bar him from contesting as one of the 12 presidential hopefuls in the harmonized election. The Supreme Court last week dismissed Kasukuwere's appeal of a High Court decision to disqualify him from contesting in the polls, and Kasukuwere has meanwhile appealed to the Supreme Court's ruling at the Constitutional Court. And the Constitutional Court right now has not had his case, and he has since written to the SADC chairperson saying that what the courts are doing is unfair practices. So we now wait to hear what the SADC chairperson has to say, and we also wait to hear what the Concord has to say in regards to this. As it stands, he's not allowed to run for president.
All right, now, Talent, in your last story, I would assume it is a related development. Political tension and violence concerns heighten. Is this because of the upcoming presidential elections?
Yes, apparently it is because of the upcoming elections, and the African Commission on Human and People's Rights has expressed concern over political tension triggering physical and cyber attacks against women ahead of the August 23 elections. In a statement yesterday, the African Commission on Human and People's Rights said the attacks were targeting voters and members of the opposition political parties. It also said that there are allegations of persistent online violence targeting women often stem from the root causes of online violence and in many instances escalate to physical harm. The AU organ implored government to curb use of hate speech that incites violence and to safeguard the women who bravely express their political views despite facing continuous challenges both online and offline. Apparently, now there are so many houses which have been burnt in different in the country, and people in those areas, they are alluding that this is due to the political tension which is currently happening. You know, we are in election season, and most people or political parties, they become very violent, and now the AU organ has said that government should make sure that no violence is happening in the country, and many people have since died because of the violence, and some have had their houses burnt down.
You know, it takes me back to 2008 when I was on the ground, like many Zimbabweans, experiencing those violent attacks and instability, which certainly should have nothing to do with the future of such a great nation. Thank you very much, Talent, for bringing us the news stories.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
So it's good to have you on Africa Good Morning. Let's head to the weather predictions. You're still with Africa. Good morning. Let's head into the economic news stories. Starting out in Kenya, where Kenya announced on Wednesday that it is suspending the WorldCoin cryptocurrency, whose verification system is based on iris recognition, pending the outcome of investigations into the security and protection of data collected by the company. Launched at the end of June in Germany by OpenAI boss Sam Altman, the WorldCoin system is also under investigation by European regulators, notably in France and Germany. WorldCoin is intended to become a kind of blockchain-based digital passport, enabling users to prove their identity online without sharing personal data. To obtain this sesame, users must undergo an iris scan by an orb, a biometric device designed by WorldCoin. On Wednesday, the Kenyan Ministry of Home Affairs announced in a statement that it was immediately suspending WorldCoin activities until the relevant government agencies certify the absence of any risk to the public. This cryptocurrency is enjoying a certain degree of success in East African countries, plagued in particular by sustained inflation. On Tuesday, in the capital Nairobi, several thousand people lined up in shopping malls and the main conference center to undergo an iris scan before receiving the equivalent of 7,000 shillings, which is 45 euros.
Now in international economic news, UK launches first postal deliveries by drone. Mail on the Scottish Isles of Orkney will be delivered by drone starting this week, the first regular postal service by the aerial devices in the UK. Letters and packages will be transported from Royal Mail's Kirkwall delivery office to Stromness, where the drone deliveries will bring them to staff on Grimsay on Hoy for postal workers to carry out their usual delivery routes. Anything that helps to maintain the universal service, especially in the areas of the Isles which are more difficult to reach, is something that we should give a chance to support, Alistair Carmichael, the MP for Orkney and Shetland, said in a statement. Royal Mail said the drone service was expected to significantly improve service levels and delivery times to Grimsay and Hoy, where weather and geography can cause disruptions to delivery services. While the service will initially operate for 3 months, it could be continued on a permanent basis under existing regulatory frameworks due to Orkney's unique landscape and the proximity of the islands to one another.
All right, let's head into the economic indicators just before the sport.
Paints has established a 67-year Namibian legacy, creating personalized paint solutions that blend quality and innovation for the Namibian people. We pride ourselves in being a 100% Namibian-owned company, investing in our country and our people by employing and empowering true Namibians. With every brushstroke, Neo Paints commits to our quality guarantee and always delivering a coat of excellence. At Neo Paints, we always stay true to our country. We are as Namibian as you.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news and starting off with tennis news first. It is the City Open that's taking place in Washington DC in the United States, and it's a WTA ATP tournament, meaning men and women play in this tournament. On the men's side of the draw, number 2 seed Francis Tiafoe, he's of the United States, had to work hard in the round of 32. He beat Aslan Karatsev by 7-6, 7-6 to advance to the round of 16. Also, Sebastian Korda, number 9 seed, he didn't have a good tournament. He's one of the upcoming American players in world tennis, and he lost to Alexander Shevchenko, and the score there was in 3 sets. And the number 1 seed in that men's section is Taylor Fritz of the United States. On the women's side of the draw, it is Madison Keys that safely flew also round of 32. She's number 1 seed. She beat Qin Zheng. She's from China. The score there was 7-5 and 6-1. The number 2 seed is Caroline Garcia of France, and then number 3 seed Coco Gauff of the USA, and number 4 seed is Maria Sakkari of Greece. So a very good, strong lineup in the women's side of the draw. On to cricket news, and it's cricket news from the West Indies. It was the third and last one-day international, 50-over international between the West Indies, the host, and India. It was 1-1, but the third one was won by India. That game was played at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Trinidad and Tobago. It is India that win the game by 200 runs to win the three series 50-over games by 2-1, and it was India that batted first. They made 351 for the loss of 5 wickets. It was Shubman Gill that scored 85 runs, and the West Indies not batting well. They're all out for 151 runs. So that was in the 36 over. So India winning the series by 2 games to 1. Continuing international sports news with cycling news, it is the Tour to Polonga, the Tour of Polonga that continues, and it is stage 4 that was completed after all the excitement of the Tour de France recently. Tour to Polonga, many of the top players, top cyclists in the world also in action there. Stage 4, the winner was Olaf Kooi of the Netherlands, and he beat Marijn van den Berg, also from the Netherlands, in a sprint to the line. Matteo Moschetti was in 3rd position of Italy. In the general classifications, it is Maciej Mławik. He is still the leader, and it is Joao Almeida. It's 10 seconds behind him, and it is stage 5 that will be 198 kilometers long. Southern African interest, Stefan de Bot is from South Africa. He is also cycling in the Tour. He's doing well at the moment. He's tied for 34th on the timetable in the general classification. He's 1 minute and 51 seconds behind the leader. And to close off today's international sports news, it is rugby news. South Africa preparing for the Rugby World Cup in France. That starts in a month's time, roughly in a month's time. And 3 warm-up games still left for South Africa. They play against Argentina this weekend, then also Wales, and then also against New Zealand. That is in London just before the World Cup. The game coming up this coming weekend is South Africa playing in Argentina against the hosts. And news from the team is that Bongi Mbonande, he's the hooker and the influential player in the Boks squad, and he will be Springbok captain number 65. He will captain the Springboks for the first time in his career, so a great achievement for Bongi Mbonande. The kickoff time for the game on Saturday will be 9 o'clock Southern African time. That's international sports news for today. Hope you have a great sport day and sport week, and we talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
Welcome to Active Kids, a daily TV show that sparks creativity, learning, and fun for young minds. With exciting activities and lessons, Active Kids inspires curiosity and a love for learning.
New face to the 15.
The perfect mix of play and education. Don't miss out on the fun. Tune into Active Kids on NTV every weekday at 10 o'clock and let the adventure begin.
Welcome to My.NA Cars, your ultimate destination for everything automotive.
I am your host, Diana Master.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Discover the latest models, innovative technologies, and expert insights from our passionate hosts. Learn essential maintenance tips and get exclusive behind-the-scenes access to the automotive industry. Don't miss My.NA Cars on NTV every Thursday at 2100 hours. Tune in and ignite your passion for automobiles.
You're watching Africa. Good morning. Let's take a look at the highlights from today's broadcast, just in case you need a quick recap. Niger reopens borders with several neighbours a week after coup. Kagame appoints daughter to key post in his office. Senegal suspends TikTok, saying it was threatening stability. Korea's Incheon airport introduces smart pass facial recognition system. Kenya suspends crypto project WorldCoin over safety concerns.
Don't miss Africa. Good morning on oneup2.com, DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 in Namibia as we continue bringing you the most potent stories stemming from the beautiful